10:40. Welcome back. Joe Monroe in the studio, District 8 Operations Engineer. And Joe, there's a lot to talk about. We're only it's weird. It's 100 degrees outside, and we're getting ready to talk about the winter highway maintenance positions that are open, which are vast, but there's also a lot of great opportunity there, too. And we're only a couple of months away before we start looking to see if we're getting ice on the roads.
Yeah, it's weird. We have to be 3 to 6 months ahead.
Yeah.
So the women and men that are out on the roadside, they're kind of in the moment, maybe a week or two ahead. As you progress into the office, we're trying to look 3 to 6 months out to arm them with the resources, in this case, the staffing that they need to be successful. So we do have ample opportunities. We have 2 different types of jobs. There's what we call our full-time temporary, which would be 40 hours a week. Every week while you're hired, typically it's 5 to 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And then you do have the opportunity through the union contract that if you're successful and obtain all the needed licensing and are in good standing, meaning you've satisfactorily completed all the tasks that you're assigned, you show that you're competent at operating the equipment, you do have the opportunity to become full-time permanent.
Wow.
So there are opportunities there for everyone. There's also the on-call if you're not sure it's for you or it's something you've wanted to try, but hey, I'm not sure that, typically we'll get someone that might be like a landscaper or, a concrete truck driver.
For sure.
Just to try to see if it matches for their slow season. That's an on-call. Again, we will still train you. You'll get an opportunity to see if it's something that you would like, something that matches your skill set. Everybody's opportunity. You don't want to go to work if it's miserable every day. So we do have options. All 10 counties that we have maintenance facilities have openings.
Wow.
And all of them have multiple openings.
Wow.
Basically it's on a non-snow and ice day, you'd be filling potholes, maybe flagging an operation, hauling material. Typically in the winter, we'll try to cut back some of the trees. We got to worry about the Indiana bat in this area. And then obviously ditch, things you see, the folks in the orange trucks do regularly. This time of year is more patching because the asphalt's more prevalent and you don't have to worry about it cooling off as much with our open trucks.
Right.
So it is seasonal, but for us, all 10 counties have both. It's you have to have a CDL, non-restrictive of air brakes. There's some differences between the emergency on-call and the full-time temporary. Full-time temporary, you have to start with a B class with an NRX endorsement, non-restrictive air brakes. There's a little more latitude with the on-call. Not much, but there are some differences, but I don't want to throw out too much and confuse anyone. I think you'll be happy to link something for us.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So anyone that's interested, we can, get them to come to your website and check out the advertisers and see what we have from IDOT, try to help out.
Oh, for sure. And now when it comes into this, I was glad that you kind of talked about some of the other responsibilities, because I know for maybe the general public, we think of that as just, when the snow's hitting, that's whenever you guys are out. But it's a nonstop job, I'm sure, for the entire winter season.
Oh, yeah, we'll actually be mowing into December.
No kidding. I didn't realize that.
Well, it's kind of one of the things that we get beat up a lot about. So we try to partner with, the folks that are concerned with the habitat. So, we're actually in a consortium to try to protect for the rusty patch bumblebee. There's a moth that I can't remember the name of, and then the monarch butterfly. So we actually control when we mow, and we actually have a period between actually now and the end of September where we don't mow beyond a certain area on our roadway.
Interesting.
To provide habitat, because that's when they're actually migrating through the Illinois area. So we want to make sure that they have not only food, but they have coverage, that they aren't. So you'll see us mowing close to the road, and that's actually to try to get them shoved away.
Gotcha.
So we're not smashing them on the windshields. But, it's one of those, everybody wants the lawns to look like it's a golf course, but we're also trying to protect, the animals and, in this case, particularly in this area, the rusty patch bumblebee and the monarch butterfly.
You got the state insect right there. You got to protect it. Well, and honestly, it makes sense. I'm not being funny, but those things are very important. And sometimes people get frustrated, I'm sure, and your office gets the phone call, and it's, but there's also a lot of different procedures that are in place that you guys have to follow and abide by.
Well, and you try to, unfortunately, you try to make everyone happy, and typically you make no one happy.
That's right.
But we try to be respectful of everyone, and in this case, the animals are very important.
What were you saying about the Indiana bat?
Well, they're actually a protected species.
Wow, okay.
So, we don't fell trees certain times of the year. Now, you can do it if it's an emergency, and you can obviously have an arborist or someone that's certified to tell you, hey, this tree doesn't have, a bat nest in it. But, it's no different. There's a rattlesnake. There's a less turn. There are several things in this area that, when I first broke in, a quick funny story, along 255 at New Pogue Road, there's actually chorus frogs there. The first job that I had was actually laying out the fence to protect the chorus frogs. So if you drive along there and see a fenced-in area, it's just a fenced-in area, that's actually one of the few locations in the immediate area that has a chorus frog. So we actually had to protect it. So we do that on lots of projects, and that's often a source of frustration because that's a one-off, and they're like, well, why would you do that? I'm like, well, this is what we needed to do to be able to build that project.
Yeah.
We have to look out. I mean, there are cultural, there are archaeological, historical items that we check through for every project, and that was one that popped up.
Well, and you got it all in Illinois, too, when it comes to all the different things you have to really peek through and look through, like the archaeological and all that important thing.
Well, and look at all the rivers and streams that we have. I mean, what they call zero rise or no rise, depending upon where you're at. That's a big thing for us. So any type of drainage work, for the Joe Page Bridge that we're trying to replace, trying to site that. That's a big deal, making sure that we don't change where any flooding would occur. So we actually have to get certification from another entity to say, yes, we're not prompting a rise up or downstream, putting that structure over the Illinois River.
That's really fascinating. And before we move on, because I wanted to talk about some projects, let's talk about these jobs that are available, because they do pay pretty well, don't they? They
pay very well. The highway maintainers.
Better be careful, John. I don't have my CDL. Damn.
Well, we do help.
Do you really?
We can't give the test, but because we want it's a win for us. We're the state of Illinois, so even if you wouldn't come to work for us, let's say you came to us with a BCDL, we can't give you the test, but we can work you through the paces. Yeah. We do have, we partner to try to increase the role of CDL. Before you had to have the classes, so now you have to have classes to be able to get the A. But there's some folks with the military background and some other opportunities that are grandfathered in. So we will try to help. If it's a match, it's something you really like. We help facilitate that, because if you're a good truck driver, whether you're a good truck driver for IDOT or you're a good operator for IDOT, if you're a good operator that goes to work in the state of Illinois, it's a win for the state and for its residents. So we try to look at it, typically you live in Illinois if you come to work for us. And so it's a win for the community. It's a win for the economy. And it's a win, obviously, then for the region. So in District 8, if the entire district's successful, it's a win for the department as well. So we look at it kind of in a big picture point of view.
I like that. And now, going into it, can we talk real quick just about some of the positions available before we take that break?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. What are some of them that we can talk about right now?
Well, for the closest one would from our studio here would be at the Wood River Yard. So we have multiple locations. That's right behind the airport.
Interesting. So
we have multiple, both of the on-call and the full-time temporary. They are numerous, but they pay essentially 80% of the scale.
Wow.
So if you look at the highway maintainer, just figure 80% of the scale. The hourly is a little bit less, but still it's up there, and it's all in here without throwing around numbers because it all depends exactly which one you want to pick up, but they're well paid.
Wow.
They're very good jobs. They're obviously they give you a pathway to a full-time permanent position.
And a rewarding career too.
Absolutely. There are benefits included with the full-time temporary. You get some time off. You get some an opportunity, like I said, to look to full-time. They actually are covered by the Teamsters. So if you worked at the Wood River Yard, actually The local 525 is just down Broadway from here. So, we partner with the unions in the area and try to develop a workforce for the people of the state of Illinois.
And what's the best way to get all this information? Is it to go to the IDOT website for employment opportunities?
Actually, I appreciate you asked that. For all the opportunities, you can just Google work for the state of Illinois.
Gotcha.
And that will give you everything. So we didn't touch on the jobs of the ferries. That isn't in this.
Okay.
But any job. So if there's
the ferry jobs pay very well.
Absolutely. But you also, just think in the Alton area, you have mental health.
Yep.
So you would have access to that. There's DCFS in the area. DNR is not far away with Pierre Marquette. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of opportunities with the state of Illinois. While I'm here trying to pitch DOT, if we're not what makes you happy, working for the state is a rewarding career. I have over 30 years. Mm-hmm. It's been good to me and to my family. So, if you were interested in becoming a team member, obviously we'd prefer you work for IDOT, but if there's something else out there, getting you on board and trying to keep good people in the state is what we're trying to do.
Whether you're not, you're looking for that full-time, temporary, full-time, on-call position, there's so many more. We'll link them all in that RiverBender.com article. We're going to take a quick break, come back and talk with Joe a little bit more about some of the different road construction projects, if I could speak today, are going on throughout the 618 and all that important stuff. So you stay there. We'll be here in the studio. It's a hot one out there, and we'll be back with more.
Oh no, another bad headache?
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to see your doctor.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including diagnosing health issues or referring you to a specialist. Schedule an appointment today.
For the biggest selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in the Riverbend, visit AltonToyota.com or stop by their location on the Homer Adams Parkway in Alton. Winner of the prestigious President's Award, Munganast Burkhardt Alton Toyota knows how to treat their customers, and it will help you find the vehicle that is perfect for you. For years, Munganast Toyota has been a fixture in the Riverbend, and now Munganast Burkhardt carries the tradition. New name, but the same great service you've come to expect.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Talk too loud. How do you like me now?
Back with Joe, IDOT District 8 Operations Engineer, and really great to have you in studio. There's a ton of projects you guys are working on, too, all across, and that's something I think that's really important for the listening audience to understand is, perspective to their town and respective to it. There is maybe a project going on, but you guys have a whole gauntlet that you guys are managing, and I'm sure you have a great team that's able to make sure those get across the finish line.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, first call I got today was actually to coordinate something with MoDOT. So we don't even look at it just in our 11 counties. We look at it from a region. So, like, for example, the 255 project that was closed, that we reopened on June 14th. We opened it early. We kind of had an idea because there was an incentive to get it open early. But we actually had to coordinate with MoDOT because we couldn't have work going on 55 over on the Missouri side because that was a truck detour.
Gotcha.
So when you look at it from the big picture, so we actually parse it out. Big picture, both states get together. So for example, the Clark Bridge, that's a border bridge. So the team from Missouri and the team from Illinois will actually get together and walk the bridge together.
Wow.
Because when we program something to get an upgrade, it's 50-50 split. It may be our bridge, so it's actually a bridge that IDOT maintains day to day. We would plow into West Dalton, for example, in the winter.
Gotcha.
So we handle the day-to-day maintenance, but a major project is a 50-50 split. So when you think of it that way, we look at it from a regional perspective, then we look at it from a district perspective, then we look at it from neighborhood's probably a little too small right off the bat. We get so like the 255, what impacts 64, 55.
Gotcha.
And then we go down to the neighborhood. So like what's going on today on Delmar.
Right.
That's a kind of a Alton Godfrey, very timely for us here in the 618. Why are we doing that? If you want me to jump into that.
Yeah, please, let's go ahead.
So everyone knows that we're working towards those double roundabouts. Originally, we had a plan to close it to get in and get out, and the community was very vocal that, hey, we want to keep this open. So in response to that, we're going to be able to keep that open, and we're doing it in phases. It'll be a longer project that way, and because of the length of that project, we became concerned about the condition of Delmar between essentially Evangelical and State Street.
Makes sense.
And we didn't want to have a situation where we had to go in and do repairs while there's work when people are trying to, depending upon the different phases of double roundabout, you'll see more traffic on that road.
100%.
Well, if we went in and did work, we're going to look pretty foolish. So we're trying to thread the needle. And what's a challenge about that is there's utility adjustments that we really don't control. The various utilities have to go in and make adjustments. And while we kind of give them big picture, the actual individual utilities go in. Barton's been there doing a whole lot of work. Spectrum's there today. They're water line and some drainage. So they have to coordinate, in this case, mostly with the Village of Godfrey. So there's approvals and kind of a flow and feng shui, for lack of a better word, that has to go on. Well, we saw an opportunity where we can get in and get out before the closure on Pierce Lane happens.
Gotcha.
So that there'll be some changes in traffic with the school's back in session. So we're going to go out. I know initially people are going to be a little bit upset because it's going to appear that it's just an oil and chip. It's not. It's going to have a fog seal. It's going to go over. It's going to seal everything up. Yeah. It's just a different way of making an asphalt, and it's much quicker. It's going to be much more cost effective because there will be so much work and traffic on it. Once the roundabouts are in, then it'll compete real well for a more formal repair. There'll be some drainage upgrades. There'll be other stuff that will be needed on Delmar that we couldn't really get in before the roundabouts.
Right, that makes sense.
Well, you have to have you have to make sure that the roundabouts are in, that they're functioning, and then everybody gets used to them. So to get there will be a bit of a challenge, but I think the 8 to 10 weeks after the roundabouts are in, I think the community is going to be very happy with them.
Well, I've been a fan of them. I really have. I think that it's needed, and I think change is hard, and change always takes time, and especially when you're navigating American Water, Ameren, Charter, AT&T, you name it. There's all these different utilities, and I'm sure that are occupying some type of that space that you got to manage, and also the infrastructure. Because like you said, if you weren't on top of this and you miss your ballpark, well, then all of a sudden you're going to get a lot more phone calls in a couple of months whenever you have to do the same thing you were trying to do now.
Well, and it would be under duress.
Right.
You couldn't plan
10
for
times
it.
more.
So, we're trying to be good neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if you, the first thing that we're doing is trying to make adjustments to limit the impacts to Evangelical Church and the school. When we went to the stakeholder meeting, that was something that was important. So if they'll actually be doing a lot of the work there in front of the school when school's not in session.
That's cool.
So we have to actually, to allow that to happen, material procurement is going to be big. Having all the needed material. So whoever's the respective low bidder, whenever they get the project, we execute the contract, their job's going to be to make sure that they're obtaining the necessary materials to be ready to go. There's some pre-work that they need to do, but they've got to be ready to hit the ground because there's such a small window when they're not in school.
Well, what I think is interesting too is, everyone that works, whether from all the top to down, they all live in the area. So it's one of those, do you ever get times where you're like, someone forgets that you're the district operations engineer and you go, man, I'm so tired of this project. And you're like, trust me, I'm driving the same road you are. It's all about the timing of this. And honestly, it's a needed improvement really for the area.
Well, it was something the community wanted years ago, and we studied it, and this appeared to be the best solution. We have something similar down at 158-15. We have double roundabouts right there. This one will have some enhancement. It'll actually, so if you were traveling from Homer Adams and trying to get to Pierce Lane, They actually are incorporating a bypass lane. So it's something that they did in Indiana with great success, and I think they ended up putting it in Colorado as well since we started studying this. So that will actually be able to balance the traffic. So the ideal design for a roundabout kind of balances the traffic as much as possible, so then you actually get the gaps and everybody's able to cycle. Makes sense. Adding that bypass lane kind of takes that PM peak out of it when it would back up down to like Mid-Illinois Jets in that area.
That makes sense.
So we're able to pull that traffic where all the subdivisions, Rolling Hills Golf Course, where the new, and we knew this was coming online. So some of the parking for the new bike trail that will connect Glazebrook Park to La Vista. So looking ahead, trying to figure out where our traffic vectors will be, that's why that came to fruition. So we're trying to be in front of some of the development that Godfrey's got coming on board. They want to extend Lars Hoffman, so that would be a connection. So when you look, right now it may look like, well, why would they do this? Well, we're taking a 20-25 year view, right? Trying to be in front of it. So when hopefully Godfrey continues to grow and is a great place to raise family, that improvement's already there. We don't have to disrupt folks that are coming to community or any development that the elected officials can attract to this area.
100%. And now, when do you expect the road work on Delmar to be completed for now?
We hope to have it done in 2 weeks.
Really interesting.
But we already talked about the weather. There are temperature and humidity, and obviously rain. Yep. So I hate to throw a
number out there. Yeah,
because
just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it shouldn't be it's not a long run. It's a contractor that we have a history with. Obviously, it's a firm that should be able to get in and get out. But there's high heat today, rain tomorrow. We're expecting some humidity on Wednesday before it actually cools out. The weekend looks great.
Oh man, the next 5 are going to be great after Thursday, man.
Yeah. but we got to get there with all those changes. That's why I'm a little bit hesitant. But to be transparent and try to give an answer, that's the best answer that I can give you. At 10:30 today.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And now, just a couple of the other ones. I know that on 143, there's some work being done. What's going on over there?
That's a full resurfacing. That's something that was an area of large complaints. It's used by the trash trucks a lot, so it takes a beating. Obviously, there's a big connection from Edwardsville coming to 255. So that's a roadway that hopefully will be done here shortly. It's we're hoping by the end of September. I hate, again, throwing in.
Right.
But, I don't want to be disingenuous and not give a reasonable date. Just don't, if it's a few days, understand that that's afloat. But, they're making great progress. I was on it last week. It rides much better. It's going to be a great improvement. So, it's much needed.
You're right, though, man. Those trash trucks, no one realizes the amount of beating that those roads take because you have so much pressure and weight on them all the time. And it does. I mean, it's something that's needed. And when it's over with, I'm sure everyone's going to go, man, I'm glad this road's fixed now, Absolutely. I mean, that's a big subdivision, Kindle Hill right Huge
there.
One, yeah.
And, there's obviously some development going on through there. There's another subdivision there at Mora Road. So I mean, it's an area that's seeing some growth. So we want to be proactive and get in front of it as well before it wasn't going to last another winter without some significant work from the men and women out of the Wood River Yard, and they have other places that now we can have them do some other work.
Right on. And now 111 and 270, where are we at in that project?
That one's moving along. We're okay, but the weather has bit us a little bit, and there is a little bit of coordination. So Amazon's actually adding to their facility. Oh. And so they have an improvement to their entryway. So we're trying to coordinate that. We still think we're on track for the end of the year, but that one, because of the coordination, we don't want to see a situation where Amazon's ripping up our work, and we certainly don't want to be ripping up theirs because that's bad for the taxpayer.
Right.
So we're trying to coordinate that work. That would be the float that we'd be a little concerned with. But obviously, if Amazon's adding on, that's jobs to the area. That's a quicker response from Amazon for everyone getting their packages. Right. So we want to work well with them. So we still think we're on target for the end of the year, but that's the one thing that's hanging out there that gives us just a little bit of pause. But it's a good pause because obviously they have a pretty good footprint on our side of the river,
right?
And so if they're adding on, they like the workforce that we're able to provide, and obviously they like our transportation infrastructure. They don't locate if we don't have a good workforce and you don't have a good transportation system. That's not something Amazon does. So the fact that they're adding, that's really good news for the region.
I invited Jeff Bezos to my wedding just in case he sends money. I'm just going to be honest. But a couple more projects I wanted to know about. Route 3 or Illinois 3, how's that doing?
They were working this weekend. I was actually traveling with the family.
Were you?
They did a great job on the patching, so it's going to be extensive. That's same thing. There's a ethanol farm, and then obviously a lot of other just heavy truck traffic along that corridor. So all the patching will be in concrete. It will get overlaid at the end, but right now we're trying to get the patching done. Again, same thing. We want to get as much done so the roadway doesn't require as much attention through the winter. I realize it's down to one lane in places, and it is slowing down traffic, but that roadway has been on our list for quite some time. And if it wasn't for the Rebuild Illinois, enhancement, that project's so expensive that it was going to have to be done piecemeal, and to get it all done in one big area like that is really a win. You got an economy of scale, you got a better bid, and you're only disrupting traffic one time. So that's a big win for the region.
Absolutely. And then that final project on Illinois 100, just real quick if you could.
It's a bridge improvement. That actually should be complete again by the end of the year. It's a decent sized project, but it's one of those, we inspect bridges usually every 2 years. Mm-hmm. Some bridges are a little more frequent depending upon how they were constructed, or if there's something that we see that we don't like and we want to monitor. That's one of those proactive jobs we saw. There were some needed improvements, so we got in front of that. And the River Road's a big connection. Excuse me. Obviously, for Grafton and Calhoun County, there's a big contingent that comes down, whether it's over the ferry or through Joe Page Bridge, and drops down and use the Clark Bridge to swing around. Surprisingly, our demographics show a lot of people work at the Boeing missile plant.
Wow.
So that's a big deal. We actually will adjust our ferry schedule. There's a lot of folks. There's a kind of an agronomy area that actually will swing over into St. Charles County. Wow. So you can actually see the ferry loading. So we actually try to match our schedule. Our overlap's a little bit unique. So peak hour there is really closer to 6.
No kidding.
Oh yeah. And then coming home, so actually still back about 5.
Yeah.
But you can actually, we track the ferry loadings, and you can actually see the peaks.
That's really cool.
Well, it's important for when we do work up there, so we can make sure, if we have the Joe Page Bridge down for this upcoming work that we want, we'll run 2 ferries. Well, we need to know when most likely we would need that second ferry to bump open, and so we need to staff it accordingly.
Well, and another thing that folks, I really hope that they take note of is that Getting Around Illinois.com website you guys have. It's really great with information when it comes to how our traffic conditions, up to the minute, and then alternate routes too that are really cool.
And we've actually partnered with SIU Edwardsville. Uh-huh. So there's when you click on it, you can go straight to the Metro East.
Nice,
and that's actually SIU Edwardsville helped us populate that. And then we've actually been very fortunate with some of the investment that Google's made in the state of Illinois. We actually work with the more popular mapping outreaches, Waze, Google here. So if you have a TomTom or a Garmin, that's here technology, just like you would think, HERE. So we actually reach out to them and try to give them updated information. So those additional mapping. So if you're looking through your car or whatever, or through the paid services, we try to give them that information ahead of time to try to help the region and the travelers through here.
Now, one final question. Is the Riverview Bridge Deck Repair Project, is that one done? It was like $270 in Riverview Drive for bridge deck repairs.
Oh, that's Missouri.
Oh, is that Missouri? Okay.
But that's actually in with their additional work for the 270 project. So that's all in conjunction. So
Makes sense.
But MoDOT's the lead, but yes, it's progressing.
Okay.
But that's one of those, the entire interchange, because of how the new bridges will align. Mm-hmm. If you ever came off the old that area to pop up onto 270 that was really short and was kind of treacherous if you weren't up to speed.
Yeah.
That's going to get improved
Really cool.
with the project. So that was one of those unique things that we had to partner with. We actually did a joint bid opening. So you had to have a low bid total, and Missouri has a little different rules. So we had to work together to make sure that we got a contractor that could work all facets, both bridges and that improved interchange.
That's really cool. I only know that because that's the press release that I've read the most. I can almost memorize that one. Joe, before I let you go, anything else we need to talk about for now?
No, but I'd be remiss. We have a whole lot of construction going on throughout the area. I'm very blessed. I have great teammates.
Yeah.
And they're out on the roads every day. Often they're on the roads in the worst possible time, in the heat, in the storms. They're the ones freeing the drains if they clogged, or clearing debris or a limb that's down, or a tree. Anytime you see flashing lights, it may be police, it may be fire, it may be ambulance, but it's a first responder, particularly if they're amber and clear. That would be someone that's either a contractor, or could be our emergency patrol, or one of our team members or maintenance. Give them plenty of room.
Yeah.
You and I are in climate controlled in front of a desk. There aren't vehicles running behind us. Later today, I'll be on the pavement with some of my teammates. Give everybody plenty of room, slow down, get off the phone.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what you're doing. We're in fixed areas. There are plenty of signs. Those signs are huge. Wait till you get to the other side, and just give us room to work, please.
And don't think that thing won't take a picture of your car if you're going 70. It will. It will. Well, Joe, seriously, this was a ton of great information. Thank you so much. We're going to link everything in 2 separate write-ups. We're going to do one on employment opportunities, a ton of really great ways to grow in a really great career, and also we'll keep you updated on all the projects too in a separate article. Joe, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm out of here today. We'll see you back here tomorrow. We got a busy week of shows, so I hope you join me then, won't you? Until then, don't go outside. It's too damn hot for that. Just try your best to stay out of jail.